Hi, welcome to episode 122 of the Passionate Spinner podcast. My name is Tracy. You can find me as Schnüffeltier on Ravelry and Instagram. There is a Ravelry group for the podcast. Please come over, join. I post show notes over there every now and then. And thank you for being here. I have not podcasted in a few days. Like always, because you don't podcast every day. But it's been a few more days, I think, than normally because I still don't have really a will to make things. It is returning slowly, but yeah, it's mostly absent. So I didn't have stuff to show. So I do now. I am wearing the Flex Light sweater. That is a pattern by Tinka Knits. It's a free pattern. It's knit with fingering weight yarn. And I knit this last year around this time out of Fanavolle Baby Merino. And it is, I love this sweater. It's perfect. It's stripy. It's my colors. It's just perfect. It's very warm. So I'm going to have to do it like this. Okay. Knitting in the past. I do have a finished object, but it's not finished. Where did I put it? Here it is. I finished the retro pullover by Nora Gone. It looks like this. I have all the important information here. On my cat loves this bag and he rubs against it all the time, so I have to find a way to keep him from that bag. I want to talk about this sweater because there's lots to talk about. So, do I have all the labels now? No. Now. Okay. So, the retro pullover is a pattern by Nora Gone. It is written for 2 colors. That's, the main idea. And it's supposed to look like this. 2 colors striped with each other. The pattern on the front and back and on both sleeves. It is written to be knit flat and seamed. And I changed almost everything about this sweater. I love Nora Gone, and I think her idea and her design are perfect, but I had to work with what I have. So I used 4 different yarns, these 4 yarns. This is what I have left now. And because of that, I had to change a few things. So first of all, I did not want to risk having to sew 2 pieces of knitting together with a ton of stripes and make those stripes match. So I decided to knit the body in the round. And let's go back to the yarn. I'm going to tell you the yarn. Okay, I had 3 skeins of this yarn. This is Merino Plus from Wollerödel. And this is what I have left. The yellow. Now, you go. Then I had 2 skeins of this yarn here. And it is Regia 8-ply, just normal Regia yarn. I had 1.5 skeins of 100 gram skeins. These are 50 grams. So I have basically 3 skeins as well of this yarn. And it is like an 8-ply sock yarn from Melino Liesl that she dyed exactly once for Christmas market. And I had 2 skeins of this black yarn from online. So now let's talk about the sweater. I wanted to make this sweater, but I'm also on a I don't want to buy stuff kick because you can't see my room, which is a good thing. But I'm pretty sure I could knit until I'm 80 and not run out of yarn. So I really don't need anything at all. I decided to knit the sweater out of things that I had. And also Grello is kind of, very me. So here's my finished sweater. This is what it looks like. I knit the body in the round because it's basically stuck in it with a bit of pattern thrown in. And to hide the color changes, I did faux seam on both sides. I just knit 2 purl stitches. Here, can you see? So this is the side where it didn't change yarn. And here is the side where it did change yarn. It is a bit of a jog, which isn't bad. and I don't mind that. So I did the sweater in the round from the bottom up. I also knit the sweater on larger needles because I use needles 6 and 7. That's 4 and 4.5 millimeters, and the pattern is written for 5 and 6. So 3.7, 5, and 4 millimeter. So yeah, that's what I did for the body. I knit the body. Apart from that, I knit it exactly as written. In the I decided to have the yellow at the top, mainly because I had most of the yellow. And the second color I had most of was the hand dyed, so I used that for the cuffs. The stripes I did random. I just thought, oh, you haven't used that color in a while, let's go for it. And I did 2 or 4 round stripes. Because I thought if I did only 2 round stripes, it would look boring. So I didn't. I didn't use anything. I just did it random. And then when I had finished the body, of course, I knit up to the armholes in the round. Then I separated for fronts and back, or for the front and the back, and knit those flat. Then I seamed the shoulder seams and knit the neckline. The contrast yarn in the neck is written in the pattern, and I'm glad, because I wouldn't have thought of that, and it really balances it out, I think, at the top. So then, when I had that done, I looked at my yarn and I thought, you know what? This yellow is getting a bit low. And the yellow is also, you know, the yarn that you use for the sleeve cap. So what I did, I converted the knit flat from the bottom sleeves to be knitted around from the top down into the sweater. And that was interesting and worked out amazing. So I'm going to try to talk you through what I did. Here's my notes. This is what I wrote down. It doesn't make sense to anyone apart from me because, first of all, I use a mixture of English and German words. And, you know, it's just a lot of mumbo jumbo if you don't know what it's about. So what I did to make this work, I looked at the number of stitches that she had at the widest point of the sleeve, that is before the arm side is started, or the sleeve cap. And that was 71 stitches because she had the pattern on the sleeve as well, and I decided not to do that. So I went for 72 stitches. And then, so that is the most amount of stitches that you need. So that's the amount of stitches I picked up out of the armhole from the body, 72. I put a marker at the, you know, between stitches 36 and 37 because that's the halfway point. It's exactly at the top of the shoulder. Then I looked at the amount of stitches she had left in the end to bind off at the end of the sleeve. That was like 20. So I decided to put a marker down on stitch 10 of each of the shoulder marker. And then I looked at the amount of stitches she binds off in the beginning of the sleeve cap shaping. And I came up with, it's like, you know, 4 here, 2 there, and 2 there. So I decided it's going to be 8. And I put 1 marker on the 8th stitch from the bottom. So that left me with about this amount of stitches between my 2 markers. And these stitches were used for the short rows. So I picked up the stitches and I knit the first round while picking up stitches. And then I knit up to the midway point and to the first marker after that. And then I turned. I didn't do a wrap and turn. I did German short rows where you do a double stitch. So I knit to that marker, put the marker, took the marker out, did my double stitch, purled back, took out the mid marker because I didn't need it anymore, and purled to this marker here. And then I turned, took the marker out, did a double stitch, and then I knit to back over the middle. I came to my double stitch from the last turn. I knit that together. The two, when you do a double stitch, you end up with 2 strands of yarn. Knit those together, knit the next stitch, turned, made that into a double stitch. Purled back to the double stitch, purled it together, purl 1, turn, make the double stitch. And that is what I did until I reached the bottom 2 markers. When I had reached those, I started knitting in the round again, and then I knit 10 rounds in the yellow to finish off this bit here. And then again, I looked at the pattern. It was like, okay, you have to increase because it's knit from the bottom up. You have to increase at a certain amount of times. And I just reversed that to decreases. And it turned out that it worked out that my last decrease was in the black stripe because I decreased once more. She has you cast on 50 stitches for the sleeves. And I ended up with 48 because, you know, I have a 2x2 rib. She has a 2x2 rib as well, but she seams it together, so she needs extra stitches because they disappear. So I have no idea if that made any sense to you, but it made a lot of sense to me, and it was super easy. But if there's interest in this matter, you know, how to convert a bottom-up knit flat sleeve cap into a top-down in the round sleeve cap, I could try make a tutorial that's a bit more in-depth and it makes a bit more sense, but I'm not sure if I will be able to. But yeah, so that is what I did. So then I knit the first sleeve cap, and I came down about here, and then I thought, you know, this yellow really looks like it's not enough. So I put these stitches on hold and knit the other sleeve cap. I cut the yellow yarn, knit the other sleeve cap and the 10 rounds after. So onto here. And then I looked at the yarn again. I was like, okay, it's enough. I can see now that this will be enough. So I cut the sleeve cap yarn again, attached it back on the first sleeve, finished that off the way I liked it best, and knit the second sleeve, and I had a little bit left over. So it worked out amazing in the end. It was a lot of thinking, a lot of stopping, a lot of more ends to weave in, but I'd rather weave in more ends and have a sweater that's perfect than do it the other way around, because I watched Bake Off. And yes, this has to do with knitting, I promise. I love Bake Off. And in season 3, which is the best season ever, there is Brandon. And he says a sentence that has stuck with me. He said, if it is worth doing, it is worth doing well. And that just resonates with me. If it's worth making this sweater, it is worth making it to the best it could be. And that's what I did. And I am more than happy with it. I mean, I do have a million ends to weave in because, you know, there's just ends everywhere on this. But I used up small quantities of yarn from my stash that I couldn't have used for anything really. You know, I could have made hats and mittens and scarves, but I don't need those. So I've managed to make a beautiful sweater out of stuff that I couldn't use for anything real otherwise. And I think it turned out amazing. I'm going to wear it for my next podcast, but you know, it still needs ends woven in, and I'm not sure if I should actually block it or if I just should steam block the pattern in the front, because the sweater itself is quite big. Because when I decided to cast on from the bottom up with bigger needles and slightly bigger yarn, I didn't go down a size in sweater. So this is a bit more relaxed than it should have been, but it's still good. You know, it doesn't look like I raided my big sister's closet. So yeah, that's a lot of talk about a sweater, but it is finished. I'm very happy with it. Let's put it away. Go to other stuff. For knitting in the present, I have 2 things. I did not work on the trachea hat, which is bad because I need that really soon. But I just couldn't. I couldn't wrap my head around the cabled project this week. And I had, you know, when I'm alone with my son, I have the mornings to do stuff that I have to really think about, and I had to do something else I'm going to show later. So back to things that I actually did. I knit on the Wendy pullover. It is a pattern from Interweave Knits, and it looks like this. It's a short-sleeved vintage style sweater with a Peter Pan collar and a faux or a real button placket in black. I haven't really looked at those instructions yet. And I'm knitting this out of Malabrigo yarn, It's Malabrigo sock in the Indicita colorway. And it looks like this so far. So this is also supposed to be knit flat and seamed. It's a stockinette sweater. Yeah, no, I'm not going to seam that. I'm knitting this in around, which makes things super easy. But, oops. So here we are. I'm alternating skeins every 2 rounds, you know, the normal boring way, because I think that it looks great the way it does. So, and the 2 skeins, typical Malabrigo, I find. I'm sorry if that is not true, but they are quite different. And of course, I did not buy these in one go. You know, I picked one up once and I picked one up at a different time and then realized that I now have 2 skeins of the same colorway. So I'm using those for this sweater. And I'm knitting it on 3.5 millimeters. That's a US 4. And I'm using these from Knit Picks. I got one of the mixed color set things that my friend Sadie organized for me. Because, you know, I cannot order stuff from Knit Picks because I'm in Germany and they do not send here. The other thing I knit on only yesterday evening is the Soday cardigan by Hiroko Payne. The pattern is from Line magazine, issue number 6. And yeah, I knit on this last night because I couldn't decide what I wanted to work on. And then I thought, you know, before you just sit here, look at the walls, you could work on something that you already have on your needles. And that's what I did. So I picked up the second sleeve and I picked it up here, right around here. And now on camera, the color difference is not that obvious, but there is a very harsh, yeah, now you can see it better. Can you see? There's a very harsh line here. And then there's another one here, because this bit here was a leftover piece that I had used to finish off the body of the sweater. And then I attached a new skein, and that one is even darker. But I have decided I don't care. It's going to be beautiful anyways. So this is what it looks like. I don't think it is too bad. And honestly, I kind of hope that when I wash it, it will bleed a bit and just, you know, blend in everything a bit better. But yeah, I'm working on the sleeve. It's the first sleeve. Oh, it has this large cable. No, 122 episodes. I cannot show stuff. Yeah, it has a cable down, you know, which makes this easy. I switched yesterday to a DPNs from having it had on Magic Loop. And that was the best idea I had in a long time because I just don't like Magic Loop and it goes so much quicker on DPNs for me. So yes, the Soday cardigan by Hiroko Payne. I have finished the body a while ago. It still needs the big gigantic collar, but I wanted to finish the sleeves first. And this is the back. It is cabled, it is perfect. I had originally planned to finish this for EYF and I wanted to make a dress to go with it. I do have a dress that would look okay with it, but I think I have one that would be perfect. But I'm leaving for EYF tomorrow in a week, so in 8 days, and I still have to make something else that I have to make. So that's, yeah, I will not have the Soday cardigan finished. And you can see the line here as well, here in the cables, but I don't care. I should have alternated skeins, you know, because I'm using Rowan Fine Art Aran weight and it is hand dyed and I didn't think about it, you know, being hand dyed. Until after I thought why these all look so different, you know, when I attached them. And then they all have the same lot, they all have the same colorway and everything. And I was like, yeah, they are hand dyed, aren't they? But yeah, I didn't think about it, so I just have to roll with it now. So that's it for knitting in the present, because like I said, my mojo is just Now, for knitting in the future, when I wrote my show notes 2 hours ago, I wrote down a new sweater, unsure which one. And that changed since then, because I want to knit the Night Nook sweater. It's a pattern by Stephen West. It is in his new hibernating collection. And I just printed out the actual pattern. So this is it. That's a Night Nook sweater. It has a little brioche detail on the sleeve cap. it's saddle shoulder, and I have never done brioche. So this is going to be my first foray into brioche knitting. So this sweater has a story, or at least my yarn choice has a story. Remember how I said that I wanted to use stuff that I have? So the first idea that I had when I looked at this pattern was, I really want to use this yarn. I have had this in my stash forever. I bought this at the Coats factory shop, and I have 4 skeins of this, and I thought that these were 400 grams because they look quite big, but they were only 50 gram skeins because I weighed them before I started my podcast. And this is a very interesting yarn. It's shimmery and it is a bit multicolor, but it is basically a dark teal. So I wanted to use this as the main color, but I only have 200 grams. So that's not enough for a main color. And also I have no idea what yarn it is, and I have no idea about the yardage of this. So yeah. So that was the first idea. And I thought, you know what, you could get a creamy white, very dull, you know, very not dull, like a matte yarn that's not shiny to really set a contrast. But then I realized I don't want to buy yarn because I have yarn. And I came up with yarn that I had put together for a sweater a long time ago. And that is 5 skeins of cakewalk yarn. It is hand-dyed yarn. It looks like this. It is an oatmeal color with acid green and purple, dark purple speckles. And I bought this 5 skeins of Regia 8-ply to go with it. And I originally wanted to knit a cardigan with contrast cuffs because, you know, I bought this yarn before I knew anything about sweater knitting, and I have 5 skeins and it's like 218 yards each, which makes this enough for a sweater for me. And that, so I then thought, okay, I'm going to use this yarn. This as the main, this as the contrast, going to be amazing. And then today I thought, why haven't I started this sweater yet? Because I pulled this yarn out like 3 weeks ago. And today it dawned on me, I don't really want to waste this yarn. And let's waste. Because I will not need 5 skeins for this sweater. You know, I would need like 2.5 or 3 skeins for this sweater, which would leave me with 2 skeins left over that I can't use for anything. So I decided to abandon that idea and use these 5 skeins to knit a cropped cardigan with long sleeves to go with my skirts, which left me with 5 skeins of this yarn and 4 of this. So I'm going to use these 2 to knit the Night Nook sweater. And I am going to attempt using the purple as the main color and the teal as the contrast for the stripes. And if I have to do teal cuffs on the sleeves or a teal hem on the body, because I have more of this than I need and not enough of this, I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to use these 2 yarns that I wouldn't have enough for anything else, really, except for, you know, a sweater for my child. I'm going to use these 2 yarns to make this sweater, and I'm going to make it work. It's going to be fine in the end, I'm sure of it. So I'm going to start the Night Nook sweater, possibly today, because now I'm really excited about the idea of using these 2 yarns and, you know, have those out of my stash in a way that makes a lot of sense and that will be will make me very happy in the future. So this needs to transfer into a real project bag, and then I can get started on that. And you can all, you know, cross your fingers for me and my first attempt at brioche. I'm a bit, you know, I've never done it. It's probably super simple, but it's intimidating because I've never done it before. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Next up is spinning, and I actually have stuff to show. I spun 4 bobbins for a new sweater, and here they are, 4 bobbins. I used, again, my S45, which is a spinning wheel that Louette made years ago and doesn't make anymore, which is a shame because it's a beautiful, beautiful spinning wheel. And the fiber I'm using is this. I had about 1 kilo of this, and I bought it 10 years ago. Today I would not buy this because the quality isn't the best. It has a lot of veggie matter in it, and it doesn't really spin. What's the word? it's lumpy bumpy, and I cannot make it not that way, which is fine for what I want to make. But, you know, it's not really what I want. So yeah, I'm using this, and I'm spinning this for a specific project, and I did not bring the pattern, but it is the Tucked Away. That's the word. It is the Tucked Away cardigan by Stephanie Lotven. She originally designed it for a Craftsy knit along, I think, but it is now available on Ravelry. And she had it like 50% off on the first 2 days or so. And I bought the pattern, and I thought, I really want to make that, but I don't have yarn for it in my stash right now. And then I thought of this fiber, and you know, one thing led to another, and I started spinning a new sweater quantity. So this is going to be the Tucked Away sweater by Stephanie Lotman. It spins into this marled brown, which I really like. I think, see, can you see here over my pinky? Here, can you see the lumps? Here, can you see that? I cannot make that go away. It is the silk content. I'm pretty sure it is merino and silk fiber. And this is not a smooth silk. It's a bumpy silk. But yeah, I have 4 bobbins, and now I need to ply because I only have 9 bobbins for the spinning wheel. I have 4 filled with the brown, and I have 4 still filled with green. So that's gonna happen next. I'm gonna have to ply the green so I can work on this again. And to be honest, I'm not spinning this super even. I'm just spinning. I just let it happen. But I think this is going to make a perfect cardigan in the end. So I'm really happy about it. So that is my spinning for this week. I'm really happy that I'm back into a spinning habit. Let's say it like that. New stuff. I have a little bit of new stuff. I have stuff that I bought, and I have stuff that I got gifted. So first up, stuff that I bought is yarn from my friend Sandra from Kunterbunte Wolle. She had, we had a knitting club in my house, and she just brought along a bag of yarn. And of course I bought stuff. So this is her monthly color for this month, and it's called the Alpine Glow. And of course I had to get it because I was one of the people who, you know, kind of made her do monthly colorway. So that's the one. I'm going to knit socks for myself out of this, and I'm going to knit socks for my husband out of that. There's no label, there's no colorway name, it's just beautiful. And like I said, it's going to be socks for my husband because he deserves socks. She also gave me these 2 small minis that I wanted to use for a project I'm going to show later, but didn't in the end. So I'm going to use these for something else. And then I got my Garn Stories Club. If you're in the Garn Stories Club, I'm going to show mine. It's a 2 skein club that you get once a month. And these ones, this must be the most beautiful skein of yarn I've ever seen. And also, this one's gorgeous. I mean, Garn Stories is one of my favorites. Their stuff is amazing. They are German. So this here is called Monologue. And it made me think of Hamlet. The scene where he holds the skull, which is very, you know, dark and dreary. So this is the first one. And the other one, it's called Rainmaker. And it is just, this is just beautiful. I'm not sure what to do with this, but I'm thinking about knitting a cowl just so I can have it around my neck because it's just so gorgeous. On the other hand, it's blue, and blue isn't my color, but I think this will work because this is just so gorgeous. So yeah, I got these, and then my friend the Stitchinista gifted me some yarn, and it is hand spun that she had also been gifted and realized that it's so not her colors that she just gave it to me. And this is a light fingering weight. So here we are. It's 2 skeins of the red. Let's do it this way. 2 skeins of the red and 1 skein and a mini of the green. I'm not sure what to do, but I do have more reddish light fingering to fingering weight hand spun in my stash. And I might combine all of these and knit a featherweight And now I have fiber in my nose and it's really itchy. So I'm thinking about that. I'm not sure. Or I will just stripe these in, you know, like chunky stripes and do a featherweight out of those. I don't know yet. I will find something to do with them because they really are very much my colors. So that is going to happen as well in the future. Remember when I said I didn't need yarn? I really don't need any more yarn. I'm still very excited about EYF, and I'm gonna buy stuff there for sure, but I don't need it. So we will see how that will work out. For reading, listening, watching, I have not read at all. Last time I talked about 8 finished books, and this time I just didn't read at all. I read maybe 20 pages, but not enough to talk about it. I'm still listening to the 7th Harry Potter book, that's The Deathly Hallows, and I am about a third through, I'm gonna say. Maybe less. Maybe it's a third. And for watching, yesterday night, we finally finished The Umbrella Academy. We had watched the first 6 episodes in one sitting, and then my husband had to go away for work for 2 weeks. And now he came home yesterday and we finished it. And it's amazing. I really enjoyed that. I hope the 2nd season will be out later this year. And I'm also still watching Bones. I'm on season 4 right now. So there's nothing more interesting happening there. Then I do not have any sewing, although I cut like 4 pieces that I want to sew yesterday, but there is no actual sewing to show. But I do have weaving, which is super exciting. I have decided, or I had an idea for my EYF bag for this year, sometime last fall. And I wrote it down. And this week I finally got started, which, you know, is a bit late because I needed to weave half of the fabric that I'm going to use. So I had ordered a lot of different textured yarns from Lana Grossa because they have a nice range of yarn. It's not too expensive. And on Wednesday, I finally warped my loom. I used an Ashford Samplet loom, which is an 8-inch loom. It's very small, but perfect for what I wanted to make. And I used a 10 dpi dent. That means that it has 40 ends for 10 centimeters of finished weaving. So the 10 dpi means 10 dents per inch. So you have like 10 ends per inch, which means 40 for 4 inches, which is 10 centimeters. So I used Grello because yellow and gray is just one of my favorite combinations. And I realized that now the bag that I'm making for this year's EYF and the sweater that I knit to wear for EYF are going to be very matchy-matchy, which is fine. So I warped my loom and I wove Wednesday, Thursday, and finished it on Friday. And I took it off the loom, and what I always do, I put it in a sink, I let it soak, and then I put it in the dryer to floof up the fiber to really close up all holes that you have after weaving, which normally is a good idea. But this time, it wasn't the best idea ever because 2 of my yarns felted. I took it out of the dryer. I almost got a heart attack, and I just stretched it and made it look good again. And then when it was still wet, but not soaking wet, you know, it's just like a bit damp, I put a tea towel on top and I ironed it. And now it's fine. I'm very happy with it. But here you can really see. So can you see that fuzzy yellow? The yarn on the bottom and the yarn at the top, these are the 2 that felted. But in the finished fabric, it's not bad. My husband said it just it adds interest. So here it is. By the way, the edges of this look horrible because I used 10 different shuttles to weave because I only did 1 to 4 passes with 1 yarn, and then I changed to make this, you know, as random as possible. So the edges are horrible because I just pulled the yarn all the way up. But I knew that I'm going to cut those away in the end anyway, so why put a lot of effort into making perfect edges when you're going to cut them off? That's just not efficient. So here's my fabric. This is what I ended up with. I think it's amazing. I'm really happy with this. And, you know, it's great. Like I said, I'm going to use this for half of my project bags. And yeah, I'm just very happy with this. When you look at the fringe, you can really tell the yarns that felted. So these are all good. But I mean, what's this over here? That's a felted mess. In here, these are perfect. And then I have that felted a little bit down here. But yeah, it is what it is. I used a bunch of yarn that I had ordered from Lana Grossa that has texture in it, which is that fuzzy yellow. The fuzzy yellow that I love. And I have another fuzzy gray. I ordered some silk mohair with little paillettes in it. Can you see? To add more interest to the fabric. I used some leftovers that I had, and I used leftovers that the girls in my knit group gave me. So I ended up with this super amazing fabric that I am going to use for my EYF project bag. And I wove more fabric than I need because, you know, I'd rather have more than not enough. And yeah, it is very nice and soft. The only thing I have to remember is that the bag will not be washable. Because I think if it gets, you know, not washed by hand, if I wash this in a machine, it's probably going to be ruined. But yeah, I'm going to make those bags this week because, you know, I need them next week. I'm going to make 2. One for myself and one is a gift for a friend. And I'm just super, super, super happy with how it turned out. And I realized that weaving really makes me happy. I should do it more often. And it kind of brought my mojo back, this project, warping the loom, getting everything ready. I warped the loom listening to The Prodigy, which I loved when I was a teenager. And it was the day after the singer had passed away. And I just put it on real loud, opened the door to the balcony, and, you know, so that everybody has a bit of music in their life, and warped my loom, and it was just amazing. So I hope to show you a beautiful project bag next week. I hope my idea, so that's the first part of my idea, and that worked out fine so far. So let's hope that the other part of my idea will work out as well. But I think it's going to be okay. Then we're in the last segment, and that is everything else. The next VKN is going to be this Saturday, which is March 16th. It's going to be like always at 9 p.m. GMT +1. That is the time zone that I am in. Please find out what time zone that means for you. And I would love to see you there. You only have to go to the Ravelry group and click on a link. That's all. And you're in. So that's a WKN. And now for everything else. I didn't have mental health talk last week because last time I podcasted, I felt great. I thought, you know what? There's nothing to talk about. I'm good. But then stuff happened. And yeah, I'm not good at that anymore. I was starting to feel like I'm enough the way I'm. You know, I was starting to feel okay in my body. And I was starting to feel like I'm doing a good job in my life. And like, you know, just like I'm enough. And then I had a fight with someone who was very close to me. And that someone told me that I'm doing a bad job at being a household keeper person. I'm doing a bad job with my son. And I confronted, you know, I immediately said, no, I'm not. I'm doing a good job at this. I'm doing this the way I want this to be. And the person doubled back and said, I didn't mean it like that. I was like, that's what you said. So how do you expect me to take something when you say it in a certain way and you mean it different? That's just, you know, and that made me fall back into my little hole of not feeling enough. And on all accounts, I started to feel bad about my body again, which sucks because, you know, it's not going to change because I'm not going to become a sport obsessed person to make this different. It's just not who I am. And I started doubting everything else. I started doubting my parenting, my, life choices, everything. And then that made me come to two different conclusions. Conclusion one, I need to work on not having other people tear me down. If they intentionally do it or just, just happens, doesn't matter. I need to learn to be okay with being me and to not let anyone else tell me that I'm not okay the way I am. And the second thing is, everything you say can be interpreted different ways. And you might say something and you mean it nice and encouragingly, but the person who listens, can hear it so differently. And it happens a lot when you talk to people, but it's amplified by a million if you're right. If you're right, like not false, but if you write, like in writing it down. And that made me realize that I might have to think more about how I say things in writing. When I write my Instagram captions, for instance, I write down something and it might be read or interpreted by someone else totally different. So I have to make sure to really say what I actually mean and not think that others will understand, because it's usually not what happens. But yeah, I'm back in my hole of not feeling like I'm enough the way I am. And I hope that I will be able to claw myself back out again, because I was at the top. I was looking out at the you're enough world, and I got a sledgehammer to my head and fell back down. So that sucks. It feels like shit. But I'm not gonna let myself stay where I am. I'm gonna go back upstairs to the good place where I feel like I'm okay the way I am, and where I feel like I'm doing a good enough job at what I'm doing. So yeah, that's it for this week. I'm now going to go and maybe start my sweater. I really want to start my sweater. So I'm sorry if that was a downer at the end of the podcast, but this is, that's how I feel. And when I started talking about this mental health and feeling thing, I committed to keeping doing it, because there is not enough realness in the internet world. And this is real, because I'm a real human and I have real feelings, and they get really hurt sometimes. So yeah, that's just the way it is. Okay, I'm gonna go now. I hope you all have a wonderful time. I will podcast next Monday, because that's the last day it's possible for me to podcast before EYF. And I really want to show you my sweater on the person, and I want to show my bag that I'm making. So yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful time. Enjoy everything you do, and I will talk to you again in a week. And hopefully we'll see you at the weekend. Until then, bye.